Hebden Bridge, West Yorkshire. The independent jewel in Calderdale's crown. Steeped in rich history, this is a place of freedom, friendliness, and sadly, flooding. I've lived here for over 2 years now, and like so many others, have been furloughed due to the COVID-19 pandemic. I have found myself with time to explore the many paths through the woods and across the moors. This has been a particularly good time for my songwriting, some of which has been directly inspired by the area. On my rambles, I've thought about the life I would choose to lead, and that would be to be a full-time singer-songwriter and folk musician. But how on earth do you go about achieving that? Well, I'm lucky enough to be meeting a man celebrating his 50th anniversary doing just that, Steve Tilston. The demons take flight. He too knows the local paths well and has created music inspired by the beguiling landscape and the area's vibrant past. Steve's taking me to walk part of the route which features in one of his newest songs, The Satellite's Decree. We'll also be taking some journeys through conversation and through his music too. This is a Tilston Trail. Our route takes us from Hardcastle Crags, now managed by the National Trust, to Lum Falls, before returning through the woods which hide clues to a great industrial past. So we're meeting in very strange circumstances with the whole pandemic situation going on in the world. And the biggest question is, how are you, Stephen?
Well, we're blessed with this lovely late summer, early autumn weather, and it lifts the spirit, and it's just so I'm feeling really very very good at the moment.
So you're celebrating 50 years in the business, is that right?
Well, I should be celebrating.
You should be celebrating it, yes.
This is a nice little celebration. Lovely,
yeah.
This beautiful sunny day. As regards the pandemic, you just sort of take every day as it comes, really. That's a cliche, I know, I realise that, but yeah, sort of, I think we've all had to kind of telescope in our horizons to a certain extent.
So how have you coped without being on the road?
Well, I think if I was 10 years younger, I would be really scrambling up the walls. And I am missing it. I have actually just put the finishing touches to a new album, and obviously I'm bound to say this, I really am pleased with the way it's gone.
So the road when I was young, that was a sort of written congratulations to oneself for so many years, wasn't it?
Yeah, I suppose it was in a way, yeah, a bit self-congratulatory, yeah. And it was written coming up to, I think we would then have been about 40, just after 45 years in the business, yeah. And I wanted to write, a sort of simple song, almost in first position. So with that kind of that descending bass. And then, like then coming back up, ascending again, So, and then I wanted a nice little.
All these travelling shoes are worn and tattered, still keep moving on. They have learned to tread the routes that matter along the road when I was young. There have been missed signs and diversions. They're searching for the sun. Many mislaid plans and missing persons. road when I was young. Down that well-worn path I wandered, chasing dreams in the blue yonder, and freely spending time which was mine to squander along the road when I was young. Many nights alone, some nights together, with some special one. And back behind the wheel and held for leather, along the road when I was young. My first song, it still lingers. Oh, how the notes spilled from my fingers, and I did stand in line with the folk singers along the road when I was young. There were no goodbyes for some companions. Never realized when time was done. Each with our own absolute opinions along the road when I was young. I had guitar, was free to travel. Strands of life did unravel when I sold my soul to the crossroads devil along the road when I was young. It's down that well-worn path I wandered, chasing dreams in the blue yonder, and freely spending time 'twas mine to squander along the road when I was young. Along the road when I was young.
Since moving to Hebden Bridge and living in all this beautiful countryside and things, how much has that sort of seeped into your songwriting?
Around here, you've got the moors and this big feeling of quite a big country, because you can see right off into, as far as over Lancashire, way beyond, and yes, it's sort of a wonderful sort of feeling up here, and then going down through the woods and down into the Hardcastle Crags, and then down into town. And Hebden's just such a lovely town. I really, I love it a lot. It's great. It's lovely.
So, do you find things like walking very good for songwriting?
Yeah, I really do.
Yeah,
I really do. And I kind of, there's a few songs on the new album that were written literally just up there, and there's one that goes a bit like this, just that. Daylight will come rising, and the night will last goodbye. Daylight will come rising, that, which I kind of got that, and that's the kind of the rhythm of walking. Yes, there are quite a few I've started up on the tops, maybe a line of lyric or with a hint of melody that may get changed or may get used. So so it's really important actually.
All of you who walk the chain must learn to love the wind and rain. Dare to call these mountains friends and overweight their backbone bends, where the welkin grips the soul, spare some blessed rigmarole, where the peaks and waterfalls dwarf all man-made mansion halls. Veterans and pilgrims mark their chosen way, lengthening but loyal shadows follow. Soon summer will embrace the day, and soon across the moorland skims the swallow. Hear the murmur of the pots and gills that honeycomb these limestone hills, over Malham's Cove and Tarn, ancient herdsmen's pens and barns, our withered tongues, scores and scores, comes keening up the valley floor, past Top Withen's ruined bones, above the ring erodes the stone. Is that wood smoke from the tavern's chimney rise, a welcome like conflict grape from the window? Turn westward, face the sand skies. Hey, it could be a sunny day tomorrow. Pathways mark a trail way beyond the dumb and sway. Ghostly legions weave and spin, brigantines and Jacobin. Is that music wafting through an open door? The sound of many flowing bowls and laughter, scrape the mud and weave across the floor, banish aches and pains to stumble after. All of you who walk the chain, just learn to love the wind and rain. Must learn to love the wind and rain.
So you were actually born in Liverpool, was that
Yes,
right?
I was, yeah. But I was, a toddler when I left, so I don't really remember much about it. But obviously I remember going back and seeing relatives there.
So was there much music in the house growing up?
Well, there was. My maternal grandmother, she was really very musical, and she was one of these people who could play. So a lot of Saturdays they would come over and we'd end up playing. She'd end up playing the piano, and she could play. You'd sort of say, "Oh, this particular Beatles song," or these older songs, and she would. I remember that also had this book of folk songs, the Foggy Foggy Dew, and I remember her putting it up, and she just played it, and she extemporised because it was just like single line and chords, and then she taught me how to play These Foolish Things, da 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 da, which is kind of vamping on the left hand, and I sort of learnt it by rote, and that was my party piece, and I'd play this, and everybody thought, God, he's a great. What a great pianist, but that was it. That was the only piece. And then the guitar became the big craze, and all my friends had them, at school. And
so what sort of age was that?
Well, that would be 12 or 13 on the school bus, you see. It was like a 15-minute journey from rural Leicestershire to Loughborough, where I went to school. So we were strumming on the back seat. So it was a kind of a competition to see who could learn the first person to do a bar chord, And the first band was called the Heartbeats, but it was we had this drummer called Fred, and he was desperate. But I mean, it was but the band became known as Fred and the Heartbeats, which I kind of. So we did. I think we did one gig in a youth club, and it was pretty shocking, really. So
where did the acoustic guitar sort of interest come from, and like moving more towards sort of like the?
Well, what happened then was, it was actually through the blues more than anything, because a friend had a Josh White album called The Empty Bed Blues, which had this amazing photograph on the front, which was a young woman's naked back on an unmade bed with a bare light bulb over, and I was just so taken with it. Even before I heard the music, there's something about this album that just kind of connected. And then when I heard the music, and Josh White, the blues, he was playing a lot of these sort of lead lines that were very, very similar. But I thought, but he's doing the whole thing. He's got that bass going as well. And so things started sort of falling into place. And then I was taken to a folk club at the age of 15. And because they were the places to go then, because all the good-looking girls went to the folk clubs in those days. And but the person that absolutely blew me away was Bert Jansch. Didn't know anything about him. There was a big queue. I thought, oh, what's this? And so went in. It was absolutely rammed. And this young fellow, he was wearing a kind of looked like a second-hand suit, and he had these white plimsolls on, and he just sort of mumbled something, and he said something about, well, he needed a guitar. He hadn't even got a guitar. So somebody passed the guitar over to him, and he played this thing, and it was like, I thought, what on earth was that? And then he said, is there another guitar? And all of a sudden, there were about 3 or 4, during the course of the night, 3 or 4 guitars were offered up to him to play. And finally he settled on Mark Newman, who is Chris Newman's older brother, his guitar. And it was just fantastic. I mean, that was kind of, that was really cool, seeing this guy who not even got turned up with a guitar. And then he called up John Remborn, and the 2 of them played. It's like, what on earth is that? And then they called up Beverly Cutner, who became John Beverly Martin. And the 3 of them sang, and it was just spellbinding.
So after you saw that, was that where you started to make the decision about, actually, I could do a career of this myself?
Well, I didn't know how to go about it, but I knew that I could. So I think I'd already done a floor spot playing the Empty Bed Blues from Joshua, and it had gone down pretty well, and I thought, oh. And so I started doing more floor spots, and then got offered opening slots, one in Northampton. I think it was just turned 16, and I was there opening for Malcolm Price, who was a kind of bluegrass, very good guitar player. And of course, then when I was told I had to run the evening as well, I'm 16, organised the raffle. I mean, I think I failed absolutely miserably, but I played, and it was the playing that got me by. So yes, I was besmitten. So I just carried on.
Stepping lightly from the ridge, down the pathway to the bridge, where the lost boys from the roids left smiles for celluloid. And that moment never fades, here where eternity cascades, doomed to do or die, 'neath heaven's knowing eye. Following the amber course, as it babbles through the moors, to wash away all fears with sepia-stained tears. Treading down the footsteps roam, past broken legacies of stone, where water spun the skis before the age of steam. Last night I was in some city, singing for myself to fill that bowl. This day I'm treading easy, lead me far off from such rigmarole. Lead me down into the square, past revelers from everywhere, past the buskers and the clowns, to the heart of my hometown. Faces glisten, foamy beer, tears for laughing cavaliers, all passions on parade, a Pennine escapade. And spring is all around, love mislaid, a new love found, and some broken hearts maintain they'll never love again. Last night after I'd strummed the last chord, I pressed the screen, it asked me where I'm bound, heading homeward, but which way's homeward? These cruel diversions lead me round and round, me to my feather bed, up and over Blackstone Edge, and the satellites decree that only dreams roam free. And the satellites decree that only dreams roam free.
just come down into just in Lum Falls, the famous, smallish waterfall, but lovely bridge there, kind of quite iconic. And of course there was Ted Hughes' poem, Six Young Men, was written about there. So it's a walk I often do, and coming out of that clough there, we're now heading, we're going to head down to Hardcastle Crags, and then that leads on to Hebden Bridge, as the song, The Satellite's Decree, suggests. And there's some interesting stuff down in the woods there, remnants of early industrial age. Steam power, but actually water power before steam, and which I refer to in the lyric of that song. So I was in the song, I was documenting a spring day, and a spring weekend day when all the place is rammed with a lot of tourists, but and they're kind of coming from the solitude of up on the tops down through here, and then into the town, and usually there's buskers and jugglers and clowns and things. That's something happening, and it can be a bit of a shock, but I quite like it. I like it.
So did you take to London life?
No, not really. I mean, well, I liked going to the clubs and things, but it was very lonely because it's kind of London's a kind of series of small townlets with high streets and things like that, and I could never afford to live in some of the better parts. So I eventually moved down to Bristol, and at that time I was with Transatlantic Records. And I remember Nat Joseph asking me to go to the office, and it was almost like being, it's amazing, it's like being summoned to the headmaster's office, and he would say, "Are you taking your career seriously? Why are you moving to Bristol? It's just ridiculous." So, of course, the more he kind of protested, the more I decided I wanted to go. And that's probably why I only did one album for Transatlantic. But, they sold that... the album I did for them,
was that collection?
Yeah, they sold that to MCA in the States, so I was able to make, actually got an advance, and was able to put it down on my first house in Bristol. So I was very fortunate in that respect. I got offered a publishing deal whereby I had to write 14 songs a year, and I was paid a retainer to do that. And I thought, this is fantastic, 14 songs. Well, at that particular time, I was, it was like opening a tap, so the songs were just pouring out of me. But the moment you take the King's Shilling, as it was, it became really hard work. And so it had quite, in lots of ways, a detrimental effect, I think, on the stuff I wanted to write. I was forced, in a way, to write... in inverted commas, more commercial music, try and get covers. But I was getting, like a weekly retainer. And then I met Maggie Boyle. I was taken to an Irish session in Fulham by Duck Baker. And then we started playing music together, and I was exposed to a lot of the traditional, particularly Irish traditional music. And it was wonderful, it was great. Hark in the north wind as it howls across the moor, rattles through the birches and prowls outside my door. Hey, yeah, hey, yeah, hey, yeah. Brush aside the dead leaves, the wind that blows them back finds a way to enter and shine it through the cracks. Hey, 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 hey.
face full of thunder, my hair is full of storms. Once knew a woman who tried to keep me warm. Hey, 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 hey. She kept my heart from freezing, then came the icy looks. I bartered fire for reason by burning all my books. Hey, yeah, hey, yeah. Was all some other lifetime, a nice age ago. All of those footprints were covered by the snow. Hey, yeah, hey, yeah. Hark hear the north wind as it plows across the moors, rattles through the birches and howls outside my door. Hey, yeah, hey, yeah, hey, yeah.
One of the reasons I moved up here is because I was a good friend of Peter Bellamy's, and I knew him when he was lived in Norwich, and he moved up to Keighley, and so, which I'd never been up here, so we came to visit him, and sort of fell in love with the area and or the moors, and ultimately left Bristol and moved up here. It was also we got two young kids, Maggie and I, so we kind of wanted them to grow up in the countryside, you know, inner city Bristol. I think where we were living, it could have been any city in the country, and yeah.
Did they have guitars thrust into their hands?
No, I never thrust. No, I think that they have to kind of, if they want to learn, they have to gravitate towards it, or at least show some. But Joe started by playing cello.
Oh, okay.
Martha, she was down with her mum in London. As Maggie was the big catalyst for her because, yes, I think, you know, being obviously being another woman, but just of this great voice and interpreter of songs, and I think Martha was really taken, you know, with that.
Wondering which way say they don't know. Heart so hard, it's always hard to part. Thought there was no more to learn. Now all your tricks have ceased to turn. Heart so hard, going back to the start. Now you know you're just one more lonesome song. Just what makes you think that your pain is worse than anyone else has to bear? Everyone born has to bear life's curse of wandering this world, trying to get somewhere. So now you're running down the lane, trying to get back in the game. Hard, so hard, wondering which way to choose. Feels like there's demons on your trail to make you fumble, make you fail. But it's just your own shadow that you've been trying to lose. Now you know this is living with the blues. Now you know this is living with the blues. With the blues. With the blues. With the blues.
Usually from the guitar I will get a musical idea, and that will have suggest something. Alternatively, if I'm driving around and I get a phrase, the phrase may have an inherent musical quality to it, something in the rhythm of the words and the fall of the words, you know, if they're kind of onomatopoeic or something like that. It's quite nice doing that, actually. I quite like that. It's a good testing myself, and it's kind of a test to see if I can remember a tune. But I've lost a lot of good tunes, and so now I do tend to sing it to myself over and over and over, hone it a bit, and then I'll on the iPhone, the wonderful iPhone. Yeah. I'm usually playing music and playing a bit of playing the guitar. It could be a bit of classical music, and it might suggest something. Giuliani, not the mayor of the Expo in New York, but Giuliani, the great sort of Italian composer from the early 19th century. He's I've had a lot of ideas from his music. I'll be honest, just little phrases that all of a sudden have set something going. In fact, in the piece "Satellite's Decree," which is basically covers about this footpath that we're taking down from the tops and past Longfield Falls. There's a little figure in there that I got from Giuliani. Now, I didn't realise I had. And it came through, and then I was when lockdown, I was sort of putting just going through bits of music I hadn't played for ages, and I got this book of Giuliani stuff, and I played it, and there it was. I thought, oh God, it's got me bang to rights. Thanks, Giuliani. Going back to the distant days, that retrospective, and going back and looking at older songs, and particularly there's a few songs from my first album, and I was thinking, actually these were not bad. They were pretty good. Yeah, consider I was the age of 19 and 20, and so it kind of, I suppose I was a precocious little brat, you know, I mean, really. A lot of the experiences I was writing about, I'd not actually lived myself, so it was a kind of self-projection of how I thought I might be. I think on my second album I'd written a song called City Life, which was just sort of dabbling with, slight, very soft political observations. But I always preferred the stiletto to the lump hammer, you know, as regards political song.
It's mainly the historical songs that sort of captured my imagination when I first heard you.
Well, I suppose my most well-known song, The Slip, Jigs and Reels, is,
Well, it's like the lakes, the rise and fall of their ankles and dresses down on the dance floor. I roll in the dice and spin in the wind. But mostly lights.
yes, so I do. I am fascinated by history.
Possibly the two most famous residents of Heptonstall are no longer with us, but we've got Sylvia Plath in one side of the graveyard, and then in the older part you can find King David, who was king of the coiners.
That's right. I got this book out called Clip a Bright Guinea or something that was written about the coiners round here. Then I went to found his grave, which was difficult to find. It's not very far away from the museum. Yeah, so I just found the whole thing fascinating.
Strange kind of chariot rumbles up the hill. The crowd that lines the cobbled ways constant common still. Stuff your caps, your coronets, your coiners and your clowns. For here comes King David now, he's clipped his last gold crown. See no fine-dressed gentlemen turned out to pay respect, but they were quick to turn about when time came to collect. Oh, how he worked his magic on the gold that they supplied. For each coin sly reduction, how their fortune multiplied. Here comes the king of the coiners. 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 In these windy valleys it's so hard to make a crust. We never want for water, though our pants soon turn to rust. Gold will only tarnish after the last stone is split. For a while it glittered bright amongst the millstone grit. Here comes the king of the coiners. Here comes the king of the coiners. Well, an excise man came sniffing round like a hungry dog. They found him with a leaking hole, as lifeless as a log. Far away in London town they raised the hue and cry. King David and his coiners, they must be brought to die. Here comes the king of the coiners. 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 They say a man can disappear amongst these rocky crags. The only way to find him is to pay a tongue to wag. Gold for gold and iron chains, they carried him away. Off to York Assizes and an execution day. Here comes the king on the coiners. Here comes the king on the coiners. Here comes the king on the coiners. Here comes the king of the coiners. Danced that fearful jig, they bound him to a cart. All the way through Halifax, that's many a heavy heart. The crowded line, the cobbled way, and like a king once more, they raised him up into the clouds way up in heaven's store. And here lies the king of the coiners. 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 Strange kind of chariot rumbles up the hill.
When I first left home, I went and shared a flat, went and had a room in a flat that was Dave Evans, wonderful guitar player. And so the two of us used to kind of like vie with each other to get these most exotic tunings, you know. And we went out as a duo and did a few things together. And I mean, it must have been hell for the audience on stage, because I mean, he'd be playing in one tuning, I'd be playing in another, and then the next song was the same thing. So both of us trying to tune. I mean, it must have been desperate, obviously, because long before guitar tuners and things like that.
The only thing I discovered this year is that you'd met Nick Drake as well.
Oh yeah. I mean, just a few times. I only had one real conversation with him that was, you know, I still remember it fondly because we got on really well. And I mean, we had mutual friends. I mean, John Martin, who I knew really quite well. John was dangerous. You know, He was. Very attractive, you know, a character, both physically and just, I mean, he was larger than life and very funny, and it was kind of one of those blokes you kind of want to be around, you know, because he's good fun and funny things happen when you're, but also, as his fame sort of grew, then he would have more and more hangers on, and hanging on his every word, and then that became, I thought, well, this is not for me, you know. After I'd heard that he had his leg off, I wrote this song called "The Devil May Care," about that. Want to be nice to put, you know, to maybe meet up again, you know, and you know, because my intention was if he did a tour again, that I would, you know, make a point of going and saying hello, but it's not to be.
Directions lost in the traffic of tears.
The whole scene has changed really now, so it's probably people starting now can give me a whole lot of advice, and certainly on the technical side. I mean, first of all, you know, hone your craft. I think does the world need any more strummers who just know about 4 or 5 chords? I think try and at least learn to come to grips with your instrument a bit. And write about what you know, but don't let that stop you from writing about other things that, the historical stuff and things that you're interested in. It doesn't have to be totally personal. I find it quite liberating when I stopped writing personal songs and I was writing sort of, almost like the ballad form, writing a story.
I always think, when I clear the decks and I've written them, I say, well, that's enough. I've written enough songs now. And then the trouble with whether I like it or not, they start to percolate through again, and before I know it, I've got the makings of a new album. So, but my intention is not necessarily to write any more songs after this, but maybe write some instrumental music, but who knows.
So, Steve Tilston, thank you very much for the first 50 years of your career, and I very much look forward to the next 50 years and everything that happens.
All around us glisten after summer rain. Somewhere in the distance, the rattle of a train. Dragonflies and swallows, to each its own domain. Let sunshine banish sorrow after summer rain. I will take the song road to the higher ground, stand between the circled stones, cast my gaze around, see the vapors rising from the woods below, scour the far horizon from where we come and go. There is much to treasure in what this moment brings, for there are always winds of change waiting in the wings. There is much to treasure in what this moment brings, for there are always winds of change waiting in the wings. And I have looked for answers between the roots of trees, climbed upon the highest boughs, reach for memories that murmured in the distance beyond my fingers' string. But one once I held them in the gleam after summer rain. After summer rain. Daylight will come rising with a long night, a last goodbye. Daylight will come rising, and an ill wind will lay down to die.